How you doing, YouTube? OBX Hatman here. Well, finally got my padding on, and it looks pretty good. Gotta say, they do a very good job at cutting this stuff out. Very precise. I got to do this video so I can show them how the pieces fit directly over top, and that way they can put it online so that all you other Radar 13.5 owners can get the kit as well. So I'm just going to glide this over top of each one of the pieces, directly over top. And then they can look at it and check it for accuracy. Some of the pieces didn't fit exactly perfect, but for the most part, they did come out pretty good. Very satisfied. Great company. That is Seadek. Stuff's pretty tough too. Very simple to put on. I actually did not use tape like they recommend in the video. It's kind of hard to do in a kayak with all the concave and convex surfaces that you're dealing with. You're talking about very difficult to put tape in it and hope that it stays down long enough to get the one side peeled off. When I got to the longer pieces, so you can see how that one there, you know, it could have went over to this flat spot here. I mean, when I did the template, I didn't cut, you know, draw it out exactly like I should have some spots. But overall, I mean, it's not bad. Your feet hardly ever get up there, so it's not that big a deal on that piece. But yeah, I didn't use the tape. Didn't bother with it. Just takes too much time taping it down. All I did was just, wherever I had these edges that were real, you know, important to line up, what I would do is I would go back to the edges where it was more of a flat area, and I would make a score mark on the back side of the paper with a razor blade on a very, very short piece of this particular piece here. Then what I would do, and they send it to you, the way they send it to you, I don't know if they send it like this to everybody, but it's kind of like it's got a curved surface, which actually helps quite immensely, believe it or not, because if they were flat, it'd be much more difficult because you would have to bend it over yourself. But when I would cut this, and then when I would bend it to show the seam where I made the cut and peel off this little area right here, this part, the area that would stick down if you touched it, would actually stick up quite a bit. So I could take it, I could go to the front, and I could line up the front, put it in place, twist it, turn it, I get it exactly right. Then when I got it right here, I just would hold this piece down with my hand and go back with my other hand, and then I would just lightly tap down this piece and get it in place. And then once I got that in place and ran my finger around the edges to heat up the edges a little bit and get it to, you know, adhere to the edges, then I would take and flip this piece back up, peel off the whole other piece, start in the middle, because you got this curved area here. You start in the middle and run your finger lightly down and just let it kind of fall in place. You don't want to stretch it, you just want it to fall right in place of where it's at. Works out pretty good. So I'm gonna go around and show each one of these pieces so Seadek can decide whether or not the blueprint belongs on their website or not. I have a brush finish. I decided to go with Storm Gray for the secondary color, which is underneath your primary showing color. The reason I did that is because everybody does black, and the boat's gray anyway, so it complements the boat very well. not going to go over the pieces on the other side because this is asymmetrical. It's just redundant to go over each same other piece on the opposite side. They all fit the same. And then with the top color, I went with the Caribbean blue. I wanted to go with the blue instead of what I had originally picked, which was a seafoam green. I went with the blue just because there is a few shades of blue in this kayak, so it does complement it. Green would have looked a little bit too bright, I think. It's more like a fluorescent yellow or fluorescent blue almost. A little bit too light white color, and I think that would be kind of blinding in a boat, even though it would be very heat resistant for absorption of heat. So I just went with that instead. I actually like the blue. The blue was pretty nice. The Caribbean blue is a very faint blue, but just enough darkness that it's not going to get too hard on my eyes as I'm looking at it all day in the kayak. This piece could have went back, you know, another ½ inch or so, but I'm not too worried about that. That's all under the seat. And the stuff sticks really well. Make sure you use Windex. I first cleaned it with a degreaser, got it squeaky clean, then turned around and went back with Windex, wiped everything down with Windex as I went to do each piece, and I started from the nose and went to the stern. This particular piece in the back, it's a very long piece, a lot of slender sections, so I actually broke this down in several different cuts. I cut a little teeny bit up here at the top, went across to expose that sticky surface. I laid down this here. This was curved up so it wasn't touching, and then I carefully went around each edge, touched them down, made sure they lined up pretty decent with the edges. And then I worked like another 2 or 3 inches back, and then made a cut along here so I could get this radius here right on both sides, which is actually a little bit too far to the right. Should be a little bit more to the left here, but nonetheless the curvature matches for the most part. It's very hard working with the longer, slenderer pieces. And then I went back and I cut a little bit more out, even across this, you know, this piece, and then continued just to work my way down till I got to the big back pieces. And then you have this right here, which, as you can tell, it's a little bit of a S shape here where I ran out of it sticking down and being flush, so I had to kind of push it down in place, which made it kind of do an S around a little bit, like a little curvature back to itself. But overall, turned out really well. Very, very happy with it. Can't say enough about Seadek. They do a very good job. Took me about 2 months in total for this whole process of getting the Mylar templates and fitting things and sending it back to them and telling them what to change, but it was all well worth it. Very, very good. And that is it for the radar, Wilderness Systems radar 13.5 with Seadek in it. So now I got a padded deck, which will be very nice, so if I drop a jig in the bottom of the boat, redfish ain't gonna take off and haul ass. Well, YouTube, that's it. Gonna pass this on to Seadek. OBX Hat Man. Check y'all later.